All right, let's talk about a name you definitely know, but a comeback story you almost certainly don't. We're talking about SanDisk. It's making a huge return right in the middle of this AI gold rush, and it's all because they're selling the one thing this whole revolution is built on. Let's get into it. So let's start with a really basic question. We hear all the time about these gigantic supercomputers, these genius algorithms, but what's the actual raw fuel that's powering this entire AI revolution? What's the one thing that every single AI model, from ChatGPT to Midjourney, needs in just staggering amounts? The answer? It's data. And then, well, even more data. We're talking about absolutely mind-bending quantities of information that these AI models have to chew on just to learn and to function. Without a constant, super fast pipeline of data, the whole AI engine just grinds to a halt. And this all leads us to one of the oldest and probably wisest sayings in the world of business. You know the one. Back in the gold rushes, the people who consistently got rich weren't necessarily the ones finding gold. Nope. It was the folks selling them the picks, the shovels, the supplies. In today's AI gold rush, the gold is the AI itself, but the companies providing the essential hardware, the digital picks and shovels, they're in a really, really good spot. And this is exactly where our main character, SanDisk, steps onto the stage. This is a company many people probably thought was just part of history now, but it's being reborn at the absolute perfect moment. It's positioning itself to be one of the top suppliers of those essential tools. Honestly, the timing for its return to the stock market could not have been better. Now, what makes this comeback so interesting is that SanDisk is now what we call a pure play company. That just means after being spun off, it has zero distractions. It does one thing and one thing only. It makes NAND flash memory. That's the physical stuff, the memory chips, the solid-state drives, where all of that crucial AI data has to live. And that intense, single-minded focus, that's its biggest advantage. So let's do a quick rewind on their journey. Way back in 2016, SanDisk got bought up by the storage giant Western Digital, and poof, it was gone from the stock market. But Western Digital saw how valuable this flash memory business was becoming, so they spun it back out in February of 2025 as a brand new, independent company. And that single move just completely unleashed SanDisk to focus all of its energy on this crazy boom in demand for NAND. Okay, so how is SanDisk actually planning to win in what is, let's be honest, an incredibly tough market? Well, the answer is in a piece of tech that we can think of pretty literally as a skyscraper for data. This right here, this is their secret sauce. It's called BiCS8 3D NAND. So instead of spreading memory cells out flat, which just takes up a ton of room, SanDisk figured out how to stack them vertically, layer on top of layer on top of layer, just like the floors in a skyscraper. It's a brilliant move, and it lets them pack a ridiculous amount of storage into a tiny little space, all while delivering the kind of high-speed performance that these AI data centers are starving for. Let's break down why this is such a big deal. We're talking about a 218-layer architecture. So that's 218 floors in our data skyscraper. It uses some pretty advanced tech to bond everything together, which gives it amazing density, and this is huge for data centers. It's super power efficient. The bottom line is, this tech is basically tailor-made for the kind of intense 24/7 workloads that AI creates. And get this isn't some pie-in-the-sky plan for 5 years from now. It's happening right now. As of their last report, this cutting-edge BiCS8 technology already makes up 15% of all the bits they're shipping. That tells you that the big customers are already buying in, and they're doing it fast. Okay, a great tech story is, well, it's great, but is it actually turning into real financial success? Well, it turns out this comeback story is backed by some seriously impressive numbers. Just look at this. In the first quarter of fiscal year 2026, their first real quarter out of the gate, SanDisk's revenue shot up 21% from the quarter before. That is some serious momentum for a newly independent company. And if you dig in just a little deeper, you can see exactly where that growth is coming from. Their revenue from the really critical data center segment, the customers who are literally building the backbone of AI, that grew by an even crazier 26%. This is probably the clearest signal you could ask for that their strategy is working. And I mean, you can just see the trend right here. They brought in over $2.3 billion in that first quarter, and they're guiding for even more in the next one. That shows a ton of confidence from the people in charge that this demand isn't just a flash in the pan. But of course, we've got to be realistic. SanDisk isn't doing this in a vacuum. The memory market is a brutal, brutal arena, and they are going toe-to-toe with some of the biggest tech companies on the entire planet. Yeah, the competition is fierce. You've got Samsung, the absolute leader, already pushing almost 300 layers in their chips. SK Hynix and Micron are also innovating like crazy. So for SanDisk, the advantage isn't about having the absolute most layers. It's about that pure play focus on perfecting NAND for this one specific AI-driven moment in time. So really, this brings us to the two sides of the coin here. The bull case, the optimistic view, is that AI has totally changed the game. It's creating this permanent structural demand for storage. And SanDisk, with its pure play status and its awesome BiCS8 tech, is the perfect way to invest in that trend. But the bear case is a reality check. It reminds us that the memory market historically goes through wild boom and bust cycles. The competition is ruthless, and staying on the cutting edge costs an absolute fortune. So, after all that, after looking at the tech, the money, the competition, what's the big takeaway? How should we really think about SanDisk's place in this new age of AI? I think it comes down to this. SanDisk is a very clear, very focused, and yeah, a pretty high-stakes bet. It's a bet that the need for data storage in the AI era is going to be so huge and so constant that a specialized, innovative company can do more than just survive. It can actually thrive against the giants. And that leaves us with one final question, bringing us right back to where we started. We know that in this new AI gold rush, selling the tools is a brilliant strategy. The real question, the one we'll see answered in the next few years, is whether SanDisk's highly specialized, super high-tech picks and shovels will turn out to be the most valuable tools of them all. Only time's going to tell. Thanks for tuning in.